Yuck.
Come on. Come back up to the top. What's going on? Do you need help? What's up? Why do you keep falling? You got it. Oh. Ooh.
All right, welcome everyone to the Silver Linings with Smart Mark Sterling. This is a special episode. Obviously, you can see right now there's three other people on my little call right now. Husfar, Jake Wyatt, Billy, Walter Peck from the Major World Order podcast. These guys recently started basically a podcast about our podcast, and I think it's really cool. I was very excited by the first episode. I will be on the third episode. If it might be already out, I'm not sure. But I just wanted to give these guys a chance here on the Silver Linings to talk about their project and sort of pitch it to anybody that's watching the Silver Linings that isn't listening to the Major World Order. So let's start with you, Billy. I look at you as the tech guy. I think that you're the tech guy mostly because you have the microphone. So what was the idea here, and what are we listening to?
So it all started back in March, I believe, when the hashtag the Major Mark, light was being sent out to a whoever had the best video, and we all entered that, and so did only about 10 other people. Mm-hmm. And through that, I saw that there was a lot of encouragement and people having fun talking to each other, talking about their videos and stuff. But what I noticed the most was the three of us kind of going back and forth, talking to each other and being very supportive. And through that, we started a side chat just on Facebook Messenger and just became fast friends. Jake said we should call ourselves the Major World Order. We had some ideas back then that didn't quite materialize that we'll eventually get into at another time. But over time, we all wanted to do something together creative, and it finally just came up there are a lot of great people in the Major Wrestling Figure podcast community, and especially in the Patreon group. And we should start a podcast. We should try and offer something to everybody that they don't necessarily get from the main pod. When you guys are usually talking about figures, every once in a while you'll talk about I'm making an appearance here, but a lot of that stuff doesn't really happen much. So we figured it would kind of give an opportunity to talk about what you guys are up to, professionally, if you're posting about it, on the side, having Mark on so people can get more, get to know him more, outside of just, hanging out on the Major Pod, and then also being able to talk to other fans. So that was kind of the idea, is to give a wider voice to the fans, all in love and appreciation of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast.
Yeah, I think that you guys posted that you're doing this. I was floored. Listened to it right away. Thought you did a great job. I think it's like an underserved part of the community. I think you're doing something that we kind of wanted to do for a very long time. My original thought for Silver Linings was almost going to be like an interview of people in the community, but I just wasn't sure that I would be able to line that kind of stuff up every week, and make sure that it was on time. So I went away from that. But I kind of didn't even mention this. You guys are listeners of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, huge contributors to the community that we talk about a lot on the podcast, the Facebook community, on Twitter, on Facebook in general, on Instagram and stuff like that. We've you talked about all of you guys many times.
Mhm.
So that's who you guys are. You're kind of like the Michael Jordan of Major Pod, whatever fandom. So
Fandom.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, so Jake, you have a pretty cool claim to fame in your collection. You're collecting, and I mean of Major Pod merch. What is going on there?
Well, pretty much anything apparel wise, I try to get obviously the chalk line shorts, the jacket, and all that. But the biggest thing is I am the Major Mad Hatter, and what that is a very small group of people, which I believe it's just Matt and myself. There may be another, and if there is, please stand up.
I'm pretty sure I do. I'm pretty
Do
sure.
you? Okay.
I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah. Brian sold some of his. I kept all my ass.
Yeah. Well, I know Brian because I actually missed out on the May the 4th hat, and I heard Matt talking about on the show that he sent him to, and he's like, oh, I don't care about those, So I messaged him right away. I was like, hey man, you got those hats? And he's like, yeah, you want one? And I was like, yeah. So he's like, so we made a deal, and then we just worked out. But anyway, what I was getting to is I have every single hat that's ever been released, including I just recently had to replace my Live 4 hat because Broski and I had a conversation about the sticker. Sorry, one second. On the bill, mine didn't have it, so I needed to get one that did have it. So I don't want to tell you what.
That's psycho stuff.
yeah. So, but I had to do it, baby. So I got every single hat now. I'm up to date. So obviously, I'm not going to be able to make it to every live show. I was fortunate enough to make it to Live 6, thankfully. But so whoever is going to, I know I made friends with Indiana there. So he goes to every show. So I think he might be able to pick me up a hat every time. So that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about the live shows is that destination type of deal. This year would have been great with the live shows all over the place. I think all over the country, and to be able to sort of travel, be there for a couple of days in a thing is really neat. So it could be like a destination type of deal.
Absolutely.
But Jake, what are some of the things you're looking forward to doing most? With this Major World Order?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is finding out where Hornswoggle is and getting my damn shoe back.
Right.
But no, but seriously, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is just being able to talk to the fans of the group. Obviously, us three, we are huge fans of the group, and it's just very cool to interact with everybody on a personal level, get them on the show, interview them, check out their collections, see what they're into personally, what they do for a living, and really get to know the people. And, we have a great, or I should say you guys have a great Facebook group, the Patreon group. It's absolutely amazing. It's literally changed my life. I remember when I first heard about it, you guys were talking on the podcast. I'm like, man, I got to pay for this. And then, I just got like the basic, which was like $4.99. And literally like 2 weeks later, I was like, hard foundation, baby. So, I had to. It was just, it's insane how awesome it is to, with just all the stuff that you can talk about with people, and the personal connections, obviously Billy, Andrew, and myself, we've become extremely close friends. We started a podcast together about the podcast, so it just shows you how much that community means to us, and how awesome it is. And we just can't wait to get the major marks on, and see what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, and if you guys get into this podcast, you listen to that first episode, Jake and Husfar and Billy really go into who they are and how they got into the podcast. So if you want to hear that, you got to listen to their podcast. So check that out. Husfar, let me ask you this. You guys have mentioned you want to have a lot of the major marks on. Who are some of the people that let's name names here. Let's list out some top people that we'd like to have on this podcast.
Oh man, I mean, we've been discussing a lot of different people, and a lot of different people have been messaging us like every day. um, oh man, I mean, what? I'd love to have Benji on.
Yep.
I'd love to. What's his name? The Michael Jordan of wrestling figure card collecting.
Matt Morielli.
Matt Morielli. Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
Andrew Ortiz has a lot, doesn't he? Or
Aaron Ortiz,
Aaron
and
Ortiz,
he was
yeah.
our second
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So
Those are two the ones off the top of my head. But I mean, there's so many people I would love to have on. I mean, even like Amon or Earring or however you pronounce his name, Johnny Cisco. I'd love to, like the guys said before, just learning how everyone is like outside of the pod, and their interests and everything is just so fascinating, and we how much we all have in common together. It's insane. Like with Aaron, with our podcast with Aaron, we could have kept going. Like we could have talked for hours with him, and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. But here's my list. I think you got to have the mom of the show, Carrie Cowling, on. I think that you have to get Zombie on. I think you got to get Swoggle on. I think you got to get Amon and Cisco. You have to ask Cisco about the Facebook. It's a funny story.
Yep.
He created the effing Facebook. Let's see. I think you got to get Purple Best Wishes shirts guy on.
Yes.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
on my list.
I think he's got an interesting story, and I follow him on Instagram, and he's met a lot of people, and he's the backyard Russell, so I think he might have an interesting story. Who am I missing here? There's a lot. There's a lot of people.
We have some pretty
Dave
cool...
Wheeler, you got to have
a
lot of the people that make the most insane customs.
King.
Yeah.
I think
John
Hardy
Lucas
Heft
Reyes,
would be a good one.
Hardy Heft, I would love to hear from. Why does he hate Broski so much? There's a lot. And then the people I think that you could get. I think you should try to get Zombie on, and
Zombie for sure.
Couple of the people that help. David C. Anderson.
Yes, I'm actually. I've talked with Owen actually a few times, so we're going to have him on at some point. I am currently in a little bit of a message war with Swoggle. He will be on at some point. It's just whenever he sends my shoe back, then I promised him we'll have him on the show. So,
cool.
No, there's quite an extensive list that we're looking at, that we've discussed. A lot of the names that you've said, other names that we don't necessarily want to say just yet, because I think it would surprise everybody.
I was trying to hold my tongue a little bit on
right. So we've got some pretty cool plans moving forward with this. I don't respond to like negativity or whatever, but starting something like this gets some of that, and it was shared on the Instagram that we were doing this, and somebody had mentioned, well, this podcast will only last as long as Broski's run in AEW, which, one, that's silly, just whatever. Two, it's like, oh, so all we have to do is get to episode 6 then, huh? Okay, fair enough. But, we have some really cool plans. Good. And again, I think it will surprise a lot of people, all parties included. And you'll be able to get some stories that maybe you didn't even know you wanted to hear, but you're going to be like, oh, I'm really glad that that's available now. So,
yeah. And, as long as it's fun for you guys, it's going to be fun for everybody else. I look forward to it. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I'm trying to plan for Major Fest week to just be big for the podcast, for FWF, for, the brand, for YouTube. I want to do a bunch of different things. So let's plan on doing something Major World Order in that week. Maybe do a Twitch thing or something. We'll figure something out and
love to
and do something cool for Major Fest with you guys. And if you guys have any ideas too, float them over to me.
Sounds
Absolutely.
good.
But so check out the podcast, guys. It's on Spotify. It's now on iTunes too.
Yep.
Basically wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on the 3rd episode. The first couple episodes are great. Keep listening to these guys, and Major World Order, thanks for coming on the pod. I mean, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
guys.
to be on the Silver
care.
Lining.